Hey there, guys. Will this be the year that Louisiana finally gets constitutional carry? Maybe. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry on Thursday officially called for a highly anticipated crime-focused special legislative session that could overhaul the state's current criminal justice system. Among the 24 tough-on-crime related items on Landry's broad agenda are expanding methods to carry out death row executions, restricting parole eligibility, harsher penalties for carjackings, immunity from liability for law enforcement based upon a certain criteria, and publicizing some juvenile court records. Guys, Louisiana is one of the worst states as far as crime goes. Carjackings, obviously, Louisiana, where I live, leads the nation in carjackings, but the violence and the homicide rate are through the roof. A lot of this is a product of 8 years of a Democrat governor that we had, where they loosened up sentences, made much lighter sentences. The penalties were much harsher, less harsher, and parole issues, probation type issues. They loosened up on everything. This was a pro-criminal governor that we had prior to Landry, who now is looks like a hard-on-crime Republican governor. Now, along with all of this should be constitutional carry. One of the bills put forth right now is one that I can almost completely get behind, and let me tell you why. It does change the date from 21. This was a sticking point that we've had over the last few years, was they wanted to have the date of 21 or older to be able to carry a firearm, right? That's been changed to 18 in this proposed bill by Blake Miguez. And Danny McCormick has a very, very similar one. Danny McCormick has put up a constitutional carry bill several times in the last few years. This is, I believe, Blake Miguez's first time in the Senate to actually do that, because Blake did come from the House. It basically states that anybody who is 18 years or older and is not a prohibited person would be able to carry a firearm without a permit. The other thing that I'm a big fan of that I really had a big time problem with, and a lot of these quasi-gun experts like the captain, I believe, of the Louisiana State Police and the chief of the Baton Rouge City Police, had this stupid little idea that, it's going to require, we need training involved in there. We need to have either mandatory or some kind of training in there that a person has to get if they're going to receive this, quote, privilege, as they look at it. We all know these law enforcement people are less trained than we are. And to sit there and listen to them tell us how they know better is kind of comical to me. Because, again, I know how they got where they are, and I know how we got where we are. So it always makes me laugh when I hear a captain or a chief who does not carry a gun on a daily basis, like we do, tell me what's best for me. The only part that I'm not excited about is this section down here where it says no individual to whom a concealed handgun permit is used may carry a concealed handgun into the private residence of another without first receiving the consent of that person. Now, I spoke at length with Josh Barnhill of Gun Owners of America. We had a good conversation about this, and we kind of tossed around what we liked or didn't like about this. And the biggest problem that I have, and I think Josh does also, is the fact that it would make this, you would be breaking the law if you carried a firearm into somebody else's house, a private residence. This does not include a business. You can carry into a business unless that business tells you that via a sign or some kind of way that you can't carry inside their place of business. This is simply for a residence. So it makes it a crime if you carry into somebody's private residence without letting them know and getting their consent, them letting you have permission to carry in their house. Now, while I do agree that the homeowner should absolutely have the final say on that, I don't care what your constitutional right is. Once you get into somebody else's home, you follow their rules. If you don't like it, don't go. That's kind of how I look at it. If you don't like the rules in my house, don't come. Probably won't invite you anyway. But it's the whole point of making it a crime. To me, it should be, if you didn't ask, the person can ask you to leave, and if you refuse to leave, then it becomes a crime. The fact that you're there, and if they ask you, oh, are you carrying a gun? Yes, I am. Well, you didn't ask my permission. Let me call the cops. You see what I'm saying? I don't think it should be a crime. So this might be something that I think needs to be discussed further. I don't know that if it's going to be a showstopper, because everything else about the bill is pretty good. I like everything else that they have written in the bill. Again, they don't have the training restrictions. The age has been corrected to 18 like it should have been from the get-go. And I think these are things that are good for the gun owners in the state of Louisiana. So more on this as it comes up. This special session, our normal session starts around the second week of March, and this special session is starting a week from tomorrow. So we'll have a couple of 2 to 3 weeks of a special session, and this is where a lot of these things are going to be discussed. I look for constitutional carry to make it to the governor's desk this year. He has stated and is on record saying that if it makes it to his desk, that he will in fact sign it into law. Think this is a big year for the state of Louisiana. I know South Carolina is trying to push for a very similar thing right now. Keep your fingers crossed for the good people in the state of Louisiana. Hopefully we do get this. And, again, I'd like to see somebody revisit this portion about it being an immediate crime if you carry into somebody's private residence. I don't disagree, again, with the fact that that person, the owner, should have the final say. I just don't like the fact that it's a crime right off the bat without the person asking you to leave first and then it becoming a crime after that. Have a great weekend, guys.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. He's over.